Is it?
Hello! Happy World Fringe Day to Brighton Fringe.
Hello!
Day.
Happy World Fringe Day to the World Fringe.
As you can see, we're having our glasses off at the moment.
Fringe.
Watching it. Am I watching it again? Oh God! I've just realised. Hang on. We'll have to stop a second because I'm watching. It's like listening to yourself down the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, I've turned it off now.
Right, well done. We're meant to have Henry Naylor and Steve Go from Prague in, but there has been technical difficulties, so we are going to try and get them in at a later time today. So the reason I've got these on is because these have come straight off Julian's head at one of the Fringe festivals that I visited with you, and I just wanted to prove that I still have them and I still love them.
Oh, and I still love you.
Oh, thanks. So how are we in Brighton today?
We're good.
We're very well. We're very well. We're basking in hot temperatures. Aren't we?
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah. Here we are.
And
we're ready to do payouts.
Woohoo!
Wow, our artists everywhere applauding and clapping.
Yeah. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. And so tell us about the Brighton Fringe.
So the Brighton Fringe Festival, or Brighton Fringe, has been an independent festival since 2006. It was part of Brighton Festival on and off for the time that Brighton Festival's been around. There's been a fringe activity in all sorts of ways, shapes and forms since '67. Brighton Fringe has grown and grown and grown, and is England's largest arts festival. This year we had just over 1,000 events in 166 different venues, and we welcomed some 500,000 people to events across the city this year. Something like 250,000 tickets, which isn't bad. Not bad.
You should be very proud of that. Yeah. That's amazing.
Very excited.
Yeah.
Yay! There's close links with lots of other fringe festivals around the world as well. So it's really nice to see friendly faces on the YouTube all day long, because we've got lots of shows and events going from all the different festivals. So in a way, it's thanks to the sort of work that you guys do, really, that help that sort of thing happen, to create this pathway for artists to be able to go from festival to festival, and the things like World Fringe Alliance, and basically making friends with people. And I think that the way that the World Fringe network works is through personal connections.
Yeah.
And I think we like working with each other, so we'll big up each other's fringe festivals. And it's a pity that Steve's not online now, because we do a lot of that with Prague. But we do it with Adelaide, with Perth, with South Africa, with Amsterdam, San Diego. We just had some of our artists come back from San Diego, second year running. We had artists going to San Diego Fringe, artists going to Hollywood Fringe, National Arts Festival of South Africa, Cape Town Fringe, all over the place,
all over the world. Do you find? I find when I meet someone and I'm clicking with them, and we're not sure why, and then all of a sudden I find out that it's because they're secret fringer, and they've either worked at one, or they've been to one, or they've had involvement in a fringe, and I'm like, oh, no wonder we get on. We are fringers together. And I always find that there's a kind of like a type of person, and you're right about making friendships with people, because really everybody does get on, and it's a really kind of unique, supportive environment that fringe festival people, artists, producers, venue operators put themselves in to this kind of supporting, pleased when there's a success for everybody sort of place.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I think it's. I think that's really important. It's. I guess for you and me, it's having been through Edinburgh all the number of times we managed to go through Edinburgh. Oh, there's Steve.
Hello, Steve.
And
Oh, finally!
hello, Steve.
Who chose this damn Google Hangout nonsense?
Okay, so we need to do. We're live. We're live, Steve. Just so you know, we are live, and there are viewers watching. Hello, viewers who are watching right now. Yeah. So welcome, Steve Gale from Prague Fringe. Hold on. Where are you? Are you there? Are you bringing the budgie?
I am here. I can hear you.
Hey, Rosie.
Hi.
Hello.
This is Alana, our office manager, who's joining
not Rosie.
us today.
Hi.
Hi. So, Steve, why don't you tell us about Prague Fringe?
Well, we started 17 years ago. We've never used Google Hangouts until today.
Yesterday. That's not
from
true.
that, it's all going really well. No, it's we had our 17th birthday this year. The inspiration to start a Fringe here in Prague was absolutely based on my attendance at the Edinburgh Fringe from '96 onwards, and also living here in Prague. And we just decided it was a good idea to bring a little slice of the action from Edinburgh over to Prague. But we started really tiny, and we're still quite small, and it's kind of our mantra. We don't want to become a huge festival. The idea is to keep it small and neat and tidy, an event that can be enjoyed in a different way by audiences and artists who visit the Prague Fringe.
Yeah, and how does it work with a kind of non-English speaking audience, or is it an English speaking audience? How does that work?
Allow me to pass you over to my colleague, Alana Kopečná, who's Czech.
Yeah, we have many Czech visitors who can or can't speak English, but that's why we have also non-verbal things. So I think that our Czech audience is growing, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen a huge increase in the Czech audience over the years. There's something ridiculous, like about 80 different nationalities of people who come to the Fringe in Prague. So it's not just English tourists who are a big part of the audience, but it's also Czechs, it's also Spanish people who live here, Australian people who live here. It's a real mixed bag. And I think that's one thing that the artists find quite interesting, is performing to different audiences than they might, let's say, in Brighton or Edinburgh, that might be largely sort of native English speaking people. There was one act that was over this year that had a brilliant show called 2100, and they played it in about 4 different languages, and they said it was really brilliant because people laughed at all the jokes in all the different languages. So it's a real mixed bag, but we do have, as Alana said, lots of non-verbal shows, and we mark the shows that have a sort of that are not sort of English heavy. We mark them as easy English. So if you're Czech or Spanish or whatever, and you think, gosh, my English is not so good, then there's a doorway in through this kind of label, which is clearly marked on all the program.
Oh, that's a really good idea. And Julian, you guys work really closely with Prague Fringe. Brighton Fringe, Prague Fringe work together.
Henry Naylor, sideways.
Yay.
Oh, no, just
Henry's here.
Hello, Henry.
I couldn't get this thing to work at all. I've been for half an hour cursing and kicking.
It took me a whole year to make Google Hangouts to work.
Welcome, Henry. We are live. We're live at the moment. So I'm just asking Brighton, welcome, and I'm just asking Julian, how do you guys work with the Prague Fringe and vice versa?
Well, the great thing about Prague and Brighton is that we overlap, which means that artists coming to perform at one or other of the festivals can, particularly if they're coming from far away, they can do it on on one plus an EasyJet ticket, which is a really effective way to Fringe. So I think Henry did that. Did you not? I mean, you weren't coming from that far away, coming from
Didn't I? I did.
this darkest England. But
Prague.
there are plenty of artists coming from Australia and America and South Africa as well, who were doing Brighton and then Prague as part of the same time. And then indeed Zach and Vigo, I think they did Brighton, Prague, and then back to Brighton again afterwards.
Yeah.
Didn't they come back to Brighton to get their award or something?
Yeah. Probably. I think that was probably a good reason.
And then back to Prague for the last night party, I think.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's great. I mean, we've obviously, you know, we spend a lot of time off season together, or have done in the past years at various other festivals around the world, and swapping ideas and inspiration and exciting stories about our festivals. But
I miss you, Steve.
I know. I was just about to say the same thing. But the sad thing is we can't actually ever be at each other's festivals.
No.
So although we know each other's festivals incredibly well, we've never actually once visited each other's cities during festival time. In fact, I've never been to Brighton. But it's great. It has been fantastic.
I've been to Prague.
You have been to Prague. Damn. It has been fantastic.
Can I plug both your festivals?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you can let him speak. He knows
Yes.
really
Yeah, go on.
Well.
Henry, you've been to lots of Fringe festivals.
Well, I've
Henry,
done
with
about
the
50 or something like
show.
that. Yeah.
We can only see
But
the
I
top
mean,
of your head, Henry.
But
It's a
they're
lovely
both
top
wonderful. Sorry.
and a bookshelf.
I know, I'm trying to look educated, but turn it around that way. It's all kids' toys. Are you still there? Yeah, good. There's two very different philosophies behind the Brighton and the Prague Fringe. I think sort of Prague tends to have about 70 acts, from what I'm seeing. It's a fabulous, beautiful city. Of all the cities I've been to, it's like Edinburgh in terms of the way it looks. There's a beautiful communal aspect about Prague, which I think is pretty much unique. The crowd's always excellent. I've always found that it's always been very full when I've been there. It's been a very welcoming and very warm festival. Brighton is a very ambitious festival. It's huge, isn't it? It's becoming like a sort of Edinburgh in England, isn't it? There's almost 1,000 shows there on. Am I right in saying
Actually,
that?
over
Just
1,000
over.
shows now.
So you're on your way to becoming probably certainly in the top 5 biggest festivals in the world, aren't you? I would have said in a very short period of time. And Brighton is obviously a very vibrant, bustling city, and so really you've got the two different extremes, I think, of Fringe. One which is going for what I love about Prague is it's like the entire Edinburgh experience in a microcosm, in that you've got the best level. You've got some wonderful acts. I mean, it's very high quality. You've got a dedicated following who come there year in, year out, and Brighton has got this incredible, vibrant. It becomes a sort of party city, doesn't it? When the festival's on, I think sort of. Prague is because it's a real tourist city as well, isn't it? So there's a world beyond the Fringe as well, which is fantastic to experience as a performer that you get to see. Brighton, it sort of takes over the town a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We like to think so.
And both are wonderful. Very different. And both really wonderful experiences.
Henry, you've been to other Fringe festivals as well, and you've taken a very successful show. Where else have you been, and what's your show?
Well, I've got 4 shows on the go at the moment. I've done the Hollywood Fringe, I've done Edinburgh, I've done the Vaults, I've done Adelaide, I've done Melbourne, We've just done one in Cape Verde, which I don't think is part of the World Fringe Alliance, but that's our African one. I've done various American festivals. What I love about Fringe is it's, as a performer, you get you can be an auteur, which I don't think you can be if you start doing the festival circuit. When lots and lots of money gets poured into shows, I think the individual artist tends to get lost and swamped by the demands of money. So I think some of the most exciting and creative work is done on the Fringe circuit.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's why you carry on doing, because you do have success. So for you, it's important to remain on the Fringe circuit.
Well, I think exactly. Yeah, I think I can have my own voice on the Fringe circuit, which is when I write for TV. Inevitably, there's lots of other creatives involved, and that's great, and I love that experience too. But I think sort of to be able to develop my own voice, I think you can do it on the Fringe circuit. So. And what is also a wonderful thing about the whole Fringe experience, particularly, is when you go from festival to festival and Fringe to Fringe, you end up seeing your mates everywhere. And there's a real kind
That's
of.
what we were just saying.
I remember bumping into you, Henry, as you were with your spray can spraying Angel on the road down London Street or something.
I mean, actually, that's the thing that's great about Brighton, actually, as well, because it's such a large festival. The chances of you bumping into your mates are massively large, and sort of like you'll end up running into people in the street and stuff like that. What I've really enjoyed about Prague as well is because I've been back 3 years, I know quite a lot of people who are regulars there too, and I know a lot of the audience, and there's an incredibly warm and welcoming and almost like, I mean, both of you two, as festival directors, I think really care about your acts. And I think it's, what I really like actually about both your festivals is I know you guys personally. And there's a lot of festivals out there where the acts don't know them. And I think that's why, you two, you gangs are to be applauded. And that's why I love your festivals.
Well, we love you too.
Love it going on here.
We'll put you on the payroll.
Steve, can you tell us about the World Fringe Alliance, which is different, obviously, to the World Fringe Network?
Sure. I just wanted to jump in to add on a little thing to what Henry was saying. That the Fringe legend Jim Haynes, who, as everyone knows, was right at the heart of the beginnings of Edinburgh Fringe and established the Traverse Theatre and such like. He came over to Prague Fringe and I said, "Come on, Jim, give me a quote, give me a quote." And he just stopped for half a second and he went, "Prague Fringe, like Edinburgh in the 60s, intimate, fun and friendly." That is the quote.
That's great.
So we use that a lot. Well, the World Fringe Alliance is a collection of incredible fringes spanning from the US right across to Australia, and it's there's 10 fringes in the alliance now. Cape Town being, I think, the most recent addition to that. It's a fantastic network that a small handful of people sort of put together, probably about 8 or 9 or 10. Is it 10 years ago?
11, I think it was.
It's 11 years ago.
Is it?
2011.
7 years.
7 years. Yeah.
7, thank you. We've visited each other's festivals over the years. We used to all hang out in South Africa, and we often meet up in Edinburgh. And every year someone from the Alliance ends up being in Prague. Annika was a regular visitor for a long time from Amsterdam Fringe. And it was just, it's just a wonderful collection of minds who sort of focus on each other's festivals and share ideas. And there are staff traveling back and forward between festivals. We've had lots of volunteers here that we met at other festivals, for example. And just sharing ideas and sharing knowledge and experience between ourselves, because our festivals are all incredibly different.
That's great. We're going to have to go now. Who's ringing?
Manchester.
Yeah, we're gonna have to sign off. But before we do, is there anything parting words of wisdom that you would like to impart on our viewers?
I have a not wisdom, but I think that with all of these Fringe hangouts and these Fringe festivals connecting up, I hope that if there are artists watching, they realise that it's actually a very small world of Fringe festivals. That these may be festivals which have millions and millions of people attending them all across the world, but what unites them is a collection of lunatics who are really, really devoted to trying to make this pathway work, and make use of us. Make use of the resources at your disposal from each of those festivals, because we exist because of you, and I think that that's the thing that we mustn't forget. That's what makes this whole network work.
Yeah, here. We're going to leave it on that amazing point, I think, and love you and leave you, and make sure you share this now when we close. And thank you very much for being with us. Happy World Fringe Day to all three of you, and congratulations on what you do, and thank you very much. Bye. Bye. Bye.